You know, it's literally been weeks and months since you've been able to go out without a hat and gloves. And today it's just unseasonably warm here up on the Highline in New York City. So I wanted to come out and talk to people about this guy, Elliott Park. Do people remember who that guy is? He was the court-appointed, what was he, the conservator, the receiver? He was both of those things for Steven Biss. So he was the receiver for the Steven Biss. Yeah, he was both. He was the receiver, which I think was his role in, doing stuff with existing Steven Biss legal business, passing the cases off to Jesse Banal and other things. I didn't get that deeply into that. And then as the conservator of the Steven Biss law firm, remember, he was looking for and talking about this laptop that had something to do with Robert David Steele's wife dropping the case after 7 years. That was such a strange case. I mean, that was yet another example of a court where what the hell was going on? Why were they allowing that case to do all the things that were against the order? What's going on down there? It's kind of a lot of people congregating. Not to go into too many of the details of that, but remember, that was the first lawfare case against me. Robert David Steele in 2018 sued me after George and his brother and a litany of other morons tried to entrap me in what appears to be, an FBI scheme to have blamed me for the closure of the port of Charleston over a bomb hoax. And I've said it many times, it seems to me that the purpose of it was to sort of set me up as the poster child for, censorship of the internet. They were going to say, oh, you see, look, idiots like Jason can't run their own news sites. Everybody's going to need an FCC license and, disinformation will not be allowed. That's what they wanted to do, but the plan screwed up. So since then, and it began with Robert David Steele and Steven Biss and that whole lawsuit, their plan was, all right, well, Jason's a loose end, so now we have to sue him to death. Yeah, it's a little cloudy today, Karen. It was sunnier earlier. You can see it's over there in New Jersey. It's still a little bit sunny. I don't necessarily recommend going to New Jersey. This lady is fighting a Volvo or something. Maybe she owns it. Boom, look at that zoom power. Maybe he's just waiting there. But anyway, remember, they first wanted me to be the fall guy for the stupid scheme at the Port of Charleston where I was supposed to go to jail. And they wanted a recording of me, saying, hey, there's a dirty bomb. I never said that. So they didn't have the evidence that they really needed to make a fake case for dummies and get me convicted in the court of public opinion and have all this, political ammunition for saying, oh yeah, remember that case with the guy who shut down the Port of Charleston? We need disinformation, governance, and all that sort of thing. This is what George and his brother have been involved in. But we're talking about Elliott Park. So where the hell is he? It's interesting. Somebody sent me a DM, and if you're not following on X, I really recommend that you do. I'm there at JG_CSTT. Some weirdo came up to me in the line outside the Eric Adams hearing last week, and he was like, oh, Jason Goodman, how come you never respond to me? And I was like, dude, I don't even know who you are or what you're trying to communicate to me. And he told me his name. I forgot what his name was. Said he had sent me some message and I didn't respond. Well, I'm sorry. I don't see every message I get. And the other thing is, based on the way this guy acted after he said that, if his message was as stupid as he was, it would have gotten ignored. So, I don't have any kind of secret recipe for how to contact me or necessarily anybody that you want to try to communicate with, but this guy was so abrasive, it's highly probable that whatever he wrote, and also the information that he had, was just stupid. On the flip side of that, there are a number of extremely helpful people who are normal in their psychology and demeanor. Ah, look, this staircase. Isn't this the one they were building? Or no, over there. Where were they building a staircase? No, this one, yeah, this was closed for a while, wasn't it? Looks new. Anyway, this person who contacted me has a daughter who goes to William and Mary Law School. Yeah, this is new. Look at this fantastic new, what do they got, a putting green down there? It looks like they do. What is that? Someone's got a mini golf course. Or either that or it's a shrine to Moloch. Because look, little owl. Can we see it? Whoop. There it is. Anywho, this parent of the William and Mary Law School student contacted me and said, hey, my daughter goes to William and Mary, and this guy, Elliott Park, is her professor. He's been missing for weeks, and they haven't told the students where the guy is, right? So Elliott Park, the conservator, he's a bar member in Virginia. He's an adjunct professor, and he's got his degree from the University of Richmond, right? And what's interesting about that is, you know who else went to the University of Richmond? I just found this out, and I found it quite interesting. Yes, Patel, our new FBI director, early education, high school on Long Island, I can sympathize. There, University of Richmond. So I don't know anything about University of Richmond. Maybe that's totally normal, but look at their logo. Doesn't that eyeball with the cloud-shaped penis, I mean, it looks very much like the Oddfellows logo. It's very Oddfellows-ish. I don't know what that means. Just pointing out these little details that I found. The weird part is that Elliott Park has been missing for weeks and weeks, and this parent of the law school student tells me they haven't even called the cops. I mean, isn't that weird? So I've been trying to call the law school, but they don't answer, which also is weird to me. Why would a law school not answer the phone? You'd think there'd be a lot of people there able to answer the phone. No. And also his law firm, I called him. I don't know if people saw that. I put it on X again, my phone call with Elliott Park. It was almost 1 year ago to the day. That was like February 6th. Superb owls, exactly, Charles. I don't know, do people want me to play that phone call? It's a little long, it's like 7 minutes. Maybe people can just go look at that on X. I don't know, if a lot of people in the chat say you want me to play the phone call, I will. But the point is, I spoke to the guy a year ago, and I'm pretty sure he lied to me because he was writing documents for Robert David Steele's wife, even though technically she wasn't represented by him. So that's why he didn't want to admit that on the phone. But it's funny because he's only, I forget when he was born. He's like mid-60s, He's not a super old guy. I mean, if you encounter like Dershowitz or something, somebody in their 80s who does stuff by typewriter or whatever, I guess I could understand that. Although Dershowitz would not, because he probably has assistants and secretaries and things like that. But, this guy, Elliott Park, I had noticed from his filings in the Steele v. Goodman, he's like submitting paper filings, which in the 8 years of lawfare persecution and practicing law in federal court, as the Honorable M. Hannah Locke told me I was doing. And remember, I'm not a lawyer. Nothing I'm saying here is legal advice. But in 8 years, I've never seen another lawyer submit stuff on paper. I mean, the only other person I know who's doing that in court is George Webb, and I think he stopped. I'm pretty sure his brother writes his filings. Now, that thing that's usually here with art all over it is not here. That's fine. But the question is, what the hell is going on with Elliott Park? Because in my phone call with him, we were talking all about what's going on there. This missing laptop from Steven Biss. Now, to help people understand what was going on with that phone call, should I play it? I'll play it so people know what I'm talking about. Do I have it? Oh, I hope I remember to bring it. Yeah, I did. Here it is. And we got sirens anyway, so this is good.
Hello?
Mr. Park?
Yes.
Good morning. It's Jason Goodman. How are you?
Mr. Goodman from the Bronx. That's you came up as the Bronx. How are you?
Well, I just wanted to ask you about the Steele v. Goodman case. I saw that you were kind of representing Kathy Steele, making those filings for her. But
I didn't make any filings.
You didn't write those letters to the court that were filed on behalf of Kathy Steele that said that she's not going to be pro se and that she doesn't have a new lawyer that was just submitted on February 1st? You didn't write that?
February 1st? No, I didn't write that.
Judge Gibney, the missing laptop. What evidence is there that Steven Biss's laptop has gone missing? That was the excuse that she gave for not being able to find a new attorney.
Well, I didn't write the letter. I was in the hospital.
I'm sorry to hear that. But so, all right, whatever. But you did say that the laptop was stolen from his office, right?
Well, the laptop is missing, whether it's stolen or lost or in destroy. I don't know. I don't have the laptop.
But didn't you say you went to the office and there was evidence that there had been a laptop, like a printer and wires that looked like somebody had abruptly unplugged the laptop and left? You did see that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so did you call the police? Is there a video surveillance camera in the office building? What did you do when you discovered this laptop was missing and it contains crucial information?
Mr. Goodman, I fulfilled my duties to the court.
But wait a minute.
And my duties as a receiver.
What happened to the laptop? Because I don't think it was your duty as the receiver to represent Mrs. Steele in court by filing documents for her. Now, you've just told me on the phone you didn't write those documents. Are you sure that's correct?
I do not represent Mrs. Steele.
Did you make any filings for her?
And the only document that I filed with the court was in response to the subpoena that you and I talked about whenever it was. It was a couple months ago, you and I talked or whatever, and at that point the subpoena had been issued, I had been served, I had not responded to it because my deadline was 30 days hence or whatever, and a couple days prior to the deadline for the subpoena, wrote one letter to the court as I was instructed to do, and I sent it actually not to Judge Gibney. My instructions were to send it to the clerk and only to the clerk, and that's what I did.
Okay, so this letter that was filed on February the 1st, that starts off 0900 Wednesday 31 January 24 Fairfax County, which is the exact format that all of your letters start with. It's signed by Kathy Steele. It talks about procedural posture. It's written obviously by a lawyer, which Kathy Steele is not. You're telling me you didn't write this letter, even though it looks exactly like every other letter you've written to the court.
What did I do? What did I just tell you?
I think you're lying to me because it looks like you wrote this letter and you told me that you know Steven Biss and there's no evidence that the laptop was stolen. And I'll tell you something else. I spoke to a detective at the Charlottesville Police Department in Virginia. And he looked up in their database and said that there's been no police report of any burglary at 300 West Main Street from August 2023 until February 1st. So it's weird to me that you're assigned to look over the Steven Biss law firm, you discover the laptop's been stolen and you don't tell the police. Plus, you told me you know the guy for 30 years, and it seems to me that you are writing filings for his clients. Do you want to
Hey,
tell me what's
Goodman?
going on, or do you want me to sue you to figure it out?
Listen to me. I was in the hospital.
I don't care about your personal problems, Elliot, okay? Because it seems to me that you've been fucking with a case that's been up my ass for 7 years. And if I'm right, you've made a huge mistake. Why don't you tell me the truth right now so we don't have to do this the hard way? Why did you write this letter for Steele? Why didn't she withdraw the case? And what the fuck are you assholes up to? You know these guys that own 300 West Main Street? The lawyers that sold it to themselves? What the fuck is going on over there, Elliot? Now is the moment for you don't know them. Okay, we're going to find out a lot of stuff about what you know and what you don't know, Mr. Park, because I think you've been fucking with this case, and I think there's criminal shit going on. Why did you make these filings for Kathy Steele, Elliot?
I did not make any filings for Kathy Steele.
Thank you very much.
Period.
Thank you very much. We may have to find out under oath. I can't believe that you're a lawyer. I can't believe the way you guys operate. Is there anything else you want to say to me? How come you didn't call the police when you discovered the laptop was missing, Elliot? Why?
Because I know who has the laptop. I don't need to call the police. And
Who has the laptop?
And I have taken appropriate action in the circuit court
has the laptop?
And I have taken appropriate action in the circuit court of the city of Charlottesville with a currently pending action, and that's all I need to do.
Who has the laptop, and why does Kathy Steele have documents that you seem to have written for her? It seems like you're protecting something here.
I'm not protecting anything.
Who has the laptop?
And I don't know what she filed.
Who has the laptop, Elliot?
Why don't you investigate that? I'm investigating it, and I have a pretty good idea who has it.
You just said you know who has it. You just said you know who has it. Now you're antagonizing me. I think you need to get sued, buddy, because I think you're involved in the fucked up scheme that your friend Steven Biss was involved in. You've got a problem with me, Elliot Park. You should have told this client to withdraw this case rather than filing things for her.
That would be giving her legal advice.
You have been. You wrote these documents for her. You know who has the laptop, and you just told the court it disappeared? I think you're in so much trouble. Your mind is racing right now because you can't think what to say to me. You've said so many things on this call that you should have never said.
My mind is completely calm, and it's not racing.
You're right.
And
I'm sure
told
it's
you
incapable of racing. I doubt the thing could barely even jog. But, you know, this is a very weird situation, Elliot. You volunteered yourself to be the receiver to the Bar Association. You told me that. You've known Biss for 30 years. You've told me that. Biss has all kinds of screwy deals going on. Looks like you wrote these documents. Look, there's nothing more for me to say to you. You're in some trouble, man. You know, who has the laptop, Elliot? Just tell me that.
All right. Have a nice day, Mr. Goodman.
So I ultimately never followed up by suing that guy because shortly after that phone call, Robert David Steele's wife did drop the case. So he didn't file a notice of appearance, whether he was representing her and writing those documents or not. He never officially represented her in the case. That might have been what he meant when he said that. You know, lawyers can calmly tell you things that are legally true that other people might consider lying, but to say he's not representing her, yeah, he can say that. He hasn't filed a notice of appearance. He might not have a retainer agreement with her, etc. He's not representing her, but either he wrote that document or somebody who copied his style exactly, probably to make me think he wrote the document, did it. And the thing that's so weird is, you know, this missing Biss laptop was at the center of all of it. That was the reason that Robert David Steele's wife gave for not being able to find another attorney. Like the files weren't available or something. And I mean, this guy's whole role was to track down the files. I mean, that was, you know, in playing it back now, I should have kept my cool. I don't think that guy was going to tell me anything that was going to help me. But, you know, I was quite angry at him because I felt that he was lying to me and protecting Kathy Steele. Now, the thing that's weird is, so now we've got Robert David Steele died of COVID. I don't believe that. There's actually a lot of reason to believe that Robert David Steele is not dead. There was a lot of contradictory evidence surrounding that death of Robert David Steele. It was never really presented in a way that I found satisfactory. It was just very suspicious. Then you had Steven Biss, had a stroke, he disappeared. And by the way, I don't know, how do I know that Steven Biss had a stroke? I never spoke to a doctor. I mean, we saw documentation from the Virginia Bar Association that said that he had been disbarred because he was mentally incapacitated, but what's the process for doing that? Maybe just if somebody's wife contacts the Bar Association and says, yeah, the dude had a stroke, maybe that's all you need to do, and then don't show up to court a few times, and they'll, even with the dog, he's got the cell phone out. That's ridiculous. It's supposed to be working. I don't know what the process is for telling the court that your lawyer had a stroke. I think you just say that and they don't question it. So what I'm getting at is, has anybody other than lying scum... See, now wait a minute. Remember when Joe Flynn freaked out? That was when I was talking about Steven Biss. Now, isn't that interesting? Would he be more likely to freak out that I'm disrespecting the memory of Steven Biss? Although Steven Biss wasn't even dead. He was supposedly in a coma in the hospital. I mean, he's such a great friend of Joe Flynn that he got that upset and had to comment, and you know, that really zero upside for the Flynns from that whole interaction with me, by the way. Right? I mean, what did that do? It just got me looking into their nonprofits, which I was never doing before that. So did he have that reaction because he loves Steven Biss so much and was so offended by the notion of me saying, hey, when you're a toxic human being, that toxicity manifests itself in ways that you might not know about until it's too late. Was Joe Flynn so offended by me saying that he had to contact me, or was he so apprehensive about some massive criminal scheme, a part of which was pretending that Steven Biss had a stroke? Because I mean, isn't that a great way to wind down a lot of cases? You know, my case was going on for 7 years. Biss still had to contend with it. It was clear that I wasn't going to let go of it. He had basically nothing in that case. I mean, everything that I was saying, the law in Virginia, you're not even allowed to carry on a defamation case when the person who was defamed has died. And I cited I guess it was the Fourth Circuit Appellate Court in Virginia, Fourth or Fifth Circuit. I cited a case where that was the exact determination, that the defamed party had died, and they said, no, the family members can't carry it on because your reputation is what's damaged by defamation, and that's not property that can be bequeathed to your family. It is a right, and it dies with the bearer of that right. So the case should have ended, but they weren't letting it end, because you see, what's happened now is I've been in this lawfare game long enough that I'm starting to see patterns, lawfare patterns, understanding how it works. You see, and I've said it many times over the past few days, but it bears repeating. What's this? Bluestone Ale? Does it say? Bluestone Lane. Huh, looks new. Well, I'll say it again because it bears repeating. Lawfare, damn it, what was I going to say? It was so important. I get so distracted by all these things around in New York. I was talking about how I've been in this long enough to start understanding these patterns, right? Like, so Biss, those guys are gone. Now, Biss wasn't that old I don't know what could be going on here, but we've got now Robert David Steele died under mysterious and difficult to corroborate circumstances. Didn't have a what do you call it? Obituary or any kind of death announcement whatsoever until I made a big deal about, does anybody have any evidence that Robert David Steele is actually dead? Boom, then I got sent an obituary by somebody that I've come to not trust, who was a jerk about it. Then 40 minutes after, or less than that, after I tweeted the Robert David Steele obituary, this very case that I'm talking about, Steele v. Goodman, which had been jammed, not doing anything for months, 10 or 20 months, some ridiculous amount of time. I had a motion to dismiss on the thing because Biss had brought it back in a jurisdiction that he was specifically told not to, and I said, hey, dismiss this. The guy has violated the last judge's orders. They didn't react at all for 20 months. Then 40 minutes after I tweeted Robert David Steele's obituary, boom, action on the docket. We're sending it back to the Eastern District of Virginia, Richmond Division. Weird. Where that judge that I was talking to Elliott Park about took it over. And this is the thing that I wanted to reiterate that bears repeating. I've now been through it enough times where I've made arguments that are just completely wrong and demonstrate that I don't understand the law and the rules. And once that gets explained to me, then I gain an understanding of it. And then I've had filings that have relied upon irrefutable evidence. Like that filing where I was citing Samuel Eichner publicly exposing an email 3 months before I did. They never addressed that and said, no, Jason has it wrong because X, Y, and Z. They never said that. They just ignored that evidence because it proved what I was saying. Same thing in this case in Virginia. It should have been stopped immediately when Biss brought it back in the jurisdiction he was told not to bring it in, and I alerted the court. Why are they giving out these orders if they never enforce them? But anyway, so we've got Robert David Steele disappearing, and the thing that bears repeating is, it seems to me, when you're in court, if you don't have a proper argument, they just defeat you with a proper legal argument. But if you have a proper and undefeatable legal argument, they just ignore it and pretend like you never said it. Oh, why did that happen? I hope people didn't lose me right there. It might have just been cut off, damn it. Why the hell did that happen? Everything is all set. I wish this thing would beep or something when that happens. Are we still live? Maybe still. So anyway, I don't know if I'm still live. This is me sitting in that park there. Not the Elliott Park. Yeah, now people will say buffering, right. Hopefully I come back. So what's also interesting is I noticed that this guy was looking all around for Elliott Park, and he's difficult to locate right now. His law firm phone doesn't even ring. Damn it, it cut me off. Well, maybe I'm still on X. Am I? Yes. Well, all right, YouTube. I don't know, you're letting me down. People who are watching on X and Odyssey, I think, are still watching. YouTube will have to come back later. How's Odyssey doing? You know, they haven't said much about their new payment system. Maybe they'll stick with Stripe. I don't want Stripe to tell them who to kick off, but I also don't want people to lose their subscriptions. Yeah, we're still going on Odyssey and X. Sorry, YouTube people. Weird. Seems like everything I talk about is stuff they don't want people to know about. But I mean, I'm just curious. Is it weird or is it me? We've got, oh wow, this is a place from the Lower East Side that's super popular, and now they have one here. if you want bagels and lox, that's a place to go. So we've got 3 people associated with this case who have just disappeared. Robert David Steele, he disappeared. All the people who first claimed that he had died in the hospital on a respirator presented contradictory evidence. When I challenged them, they acted incredibly weird. That looks more like the Lower East Side one. Inside there. Bagels and bialys. A good place to come for breakfast, I would think. But anyway. Oh yeah, so this is the thing I wanted to tell everybody about. I don't know what's going on, by the way. I don't have some mystery to reveal to people. I'm just sharing this information, and then, I don't know, just like this person contacted me, said my daughter goes to the law school, this guy has disappeared. Maybe somebody will see something here that will cause them to think, I know something about that case. Help you figure something out. Maybe, I don't know. But the thing that I wanted to tell people about is, right, see, initially this is where my mind went. Because remember, Robert David Steele has this dumb charity, Earth Intelligence Network. And this is where the whole thing started, because after he was such a dick to me, we started looking into this charity, and it was like, hey, it seems like he's committing charity fraud. The thing is registered to his house, and he's doing all kinds of screwy business with it. So let's just go back here, because when you look, 2014, I mean, he was 60 grand, 25 grand. This is the first year he started interacting with me. 2017, 191,000. It's more than 3 times the amount of money he made in any year prior, or until much later. So, he was arguing financial damages for me defaming him, but he didn't make that much money again until years later, so I really helped him. Now, here's the weird thing. 2021, that's the year he allegedly died. $2.6 million run through this thing, and he spends all that and 40 grand. And then the following year, 50 grand goes in there to zero it out, I guess. I don't know exactly. We need, Charles or Bob Bishop to look at that and help understand exactly what the hell that all means. But I don't need to be a financial expert to look at 25 grand, 60 grand, and then 2 million. What the hell is going on there? Or 2.6 million? How much was it? So initially my thought was, all right, they're doing something screwy here to steal $2 million from this nonprofit, and I don't know, that was just my presumption. Like maybe Robert David Steele decided this lawsuit with Jason, we don't need it anymore. It was all about getting him off of the internet years ago, and they essentially did that, crushed down, crowdsourced the truth, and I guess I'm managed to a certain extent from their standpoint now, clamped down, and I just presume they must have been stealing that money and that it suited them better. See, this is not cute or funny. You can't skateboard on the sidewalk in New York City. Don't do that. Stupid assholes. Asshole parents raise asshole kids. I presume they were stealing the money. And I figured, Robert David Steele is like 70. And if somebody said, you know what, here's your severance package from the CIA, $2 million, get lost, take him off the board, that's kind of like retirement. I don't know. How does that happen? That in 1 year he shoots up to 10 times? I mean, that's an obvious anomaly, isn't it? There's something going on there. That's unbelievable that YouTube crapped out like that. So I don't know. How can I find Elliott Park? Right, so I was looking him up on Pacer. and just to see if he's representing anybody. All of his cases are over, and it's strange, you know. He's, I guess he's a criminal defense attorney. He was representing this guy who was a former, I think, DC Metro police officer who got jammed up for selling guns illegally, and two of the guns were involved, one in a suicide and one in a homicide. So this guy got all jammed up, and in fact, the case was heard by the Honorable M. Hannah Locke, same judge that was the first judge who got on my case. And when it got sent back to finally to Richmond, right? Yeah, that's where Hannah Locke was. When it finally got sent back, and I tried to get it sent to her, which was her original order, that if this case ever comes back, it's got to be in front of me. No, it was in front of that Judge Gibney, who is the head judge of the whole thing, and just was completely unfair. He's another one who ignored a well-reasoned filing, and just he didn't attack the points that I was raising and say you're wrong for this reason, you're wrong for that reason. He just ignored it. And you know what? If you had a lawyer and you're like, but wait a minute, we made all these arguments and he ignored it, the lawyer would come to you and say, listen, I know it's frustrating, judges are like this. If you want, I can write another motion for this or that or the other thing, but you got to keep in mind it's going to take X number of hours, it's going to cost you $2,000, it's likely to upset the judge, blah, 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 blah. So you get it. The lawyer has a way of kind of baby stepping you in one direction or another that kind of greases the skids of court and keeps it all working, where you get somebody like me in there, a pro se who won't let it go. I'm a real fly in the ointment for them, I guess. But anyway, that case eventually went away because Robert David Steele's wife said she couldn't get another lawyer. Something to do with this missing Steven Biss laptop. So this guy, Elliott Park, says he knew where it was, and he's surprised that I didn't know. Well, I wasn't really looking into it. I mean, I wasn't on the case of solving cracking the case of Steven Biss's missing laptop. I was just trying to get the Robert David Steele lawsuit to stop. And so once that happened, I had all kinds of plans to sue him, sue Robert David Steele's wife, sue the accounting firm that had done the filing on her behalf because she had no legal authority to request it, and that they should have seen that. And then when the case went away, I just said to myself, you know what? Forget it. Bigger fish to fry. This is the other thing that I've learned about lawfare, by the way, is that George's asshole, mentally ill, wife-swapping, paperclip Nazi brother really just wants to keep me engaged with bullshit to prevent me from, whether it's journalism or other lawsuits that might affect people who he's trying to protect, like Norm Eisen, Ben Wittes, a certain disinformation bitch who I'm not allowed to discuss. He obviously wants to preoccupy my... Don't feed the pigeon. That's a stupid thing to write. Who's trying to feed the pigeon? Maybe they're talking about a real pigeon. Is there a pigeon in here? No, you can't keep a pigeon in a thing. They just want to keep me occupied with, stupid litigation stuff. I don't think I want to leave the Highline on the walk back because there's just too many jerks on the street. Let's do a jerk audit. Let's see. They did say, Eric Adams said, we're going to close the Roosevelt Hotel. I'm not even going to go over there today because I don't think it's going to be... First of all, he didn't say we're closing it immediately. He said we're going to close it in the coming months. And it's like, well, obviously, there's far fewer migrants coming because they've all gotten the word that you're going to get your head cracked and you're going to get thrown out. Somebody was in the White House press briefing asking Caroline Leavitt they're saying like, oh, hey, some migrants are reporting, bad treatment at Gitmo. And she was like, look, don't illegally enter the country and do crimes and rape people and kill people, and we won't send you to the most horrible prison there is. And it's sort of like a good answer. So yeah, I guess what happened is the Steven Biss, Robert David Steele lawsuit essentially ran its useful course, and I guess they decided that's it. Wrap it up. And how do you wrap it up? Well, they're not really going to get on the phone with me and say, well, okay, let's enter into a settlement, because I think they know I'm going to say something like, all right, I was earning six figures in 2020, and the channel was growing like crazy when 120,000 people were watching, and everything was fantastic, and you guys destroyed all that. So it's been, 5 years almost. How's about $1 million or $2? I think they knew basically that I would never arrive at a settlement with them, so they had no choice but to end it. And again, settlement, that's an apparatus of a reasonable litigant. So here, these are congestion pricing cameras. Let's call them sensors, because what else can those things sense? You could have kind of a lot of advanced equipment inside that sensor array. I don't know what that is. But again, they don't enter into settlements. They just need to find some way to end the lawsuit and get those guys out of it. Kathy Steele owns a house, so they didn't want me to be able to countersue, I guess, and who the hell knows what they had in mind. Pretty empty over here today. Like, there's no doubt that there are far fewer people around in areas that were very congested by migrant troublemakers than there were just 1 month ago. I think they all realize that there's a new sheriff in town and he's cracking skulls. So even though there is going to be some activity over at the Roosevelt Hotel and other hotels, there's just not as much activity around. I welcome that. I think that's fantastic. It's quiet. So the other thing is, all we're hearing about is the Roosevelt Hotel. Orrin Levi was covering the Roosevelt Hotel like crazy. I don't think he ever even went to the Walcott Hotel. He went to the 14th Precinct when I discussed the Walcott Hotel and was making jokes about it. Wasn't that a remarkably similar reaction to what George Webb did when I discovered the server? It's funny, that cut out again. Wasn't it a remarkably similar reaction to what George Webb did when I went to Imran Awan's house? He just reacted immediately, went to the site and showed the wrong thing. It's very similar, It's almost like, is that their maximum strength response to attenuate my signal? Go out there and, muddy up what Jason is talking about with a larger account, talking about something different. I hope that cutoff didn't take me off air. Where are we at here, my Odyssey people? It looks like it did end it. Might have ended it. That sucks. Let's see. Can't tell. No, I think it's back. Currently 7 people watching. Thanks for watching on Odyssey, everybody. If you aren't subscribed on Odyssey, I recommend you do, even for free. It's a great way to watch the show. It's a wonderful technology platform, and you can sponsor. It's the most economical way. Yeah, it's still working on X as well. It's the most economical way to sponsor the show for as little as $3 per month, plus a 58-cent Odyssey fee. You're going to get access to all the sponsor exclusive content, and you help support Odyssey, small tech, medium tech, whatever. And you're supporting Crowdsource the Truth. People can also, you can still use your regular credit card on there. They're going to be, they say, changing the credit card provider, but hasn't happened yet. So you can still use your regular credit card on Odyssey to sponsor the show. And please do that. Thanks to everybody who's sponsoring on all the different channels. Odyssey.com/@crowdsourcethetruth, crowdsourcethetruth.substack.com, subscribestar.com, and patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth. And you can also subscribe on X. So if you're following on X at JG_CSTT, you can subscribe on there and also access sponsor exclusive content. But seriously, if you know anything about Elliott Park, I think Manuel Chavez knew something about this. I'm not really in communication with him. Thankfully, he and I don't really interact too much anymore, but he was involved with these guys at some point and knows certain things about them. In fact, I even communicated with him a little bit about this. He was kind of friends, I guess, with Steven Biss's wife, and so when Biss had his stroke, I don't remember the exact details, but I believe his wife had contacted Mr. Chavez about somehow accessing this, I think, this laptop that everybody's talking about. And he did some kind of remote connection to it, helped her copy it to a hard drive or something like that. I'm not sure. People would have to go back and look for whatever it is he said about this to confirm it all. But if anybody is in touch with him and feel like asking him if he knows anything about Elliott Park, I'd certainly be interested to know what the hell is going on here. So, see, the real reason why this all comes back around now is that these guys are all connected to Dan Bongino and Kash Patel, and not indirectly, by the way. So the attorney who took over a lot of Steven Biss's cases is Jesse Banal. And Jesse Banal is on the board of directors of Kash Patel's foundation, which I had something on Twitter earlier where I was talking about how there's something posted on the Kash Patel. Here, let's see if I can show this to everybody. How do we want to do this here? No, sorry. There we go. Yeah, so Kash Patel, there is a trust. This is very vague. I don't understand it. There is a trust associated with Kash Patel which has loaned his nonprofit like $150,000 on some kind of interest-free loan. And it just doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of... Here it is. Let's see if we can get this. How can we get this on here? There we go. So we've got this. Kash Patel has not really explained the trust affiliated with him. You see what that says there? It says, a trust affiliated with Mr. Kash. Mr. Kash? Shouldn't it be Mr. Patel? Has loaned $150,000 at zero interest for a short-term period. And then a company owned by Mr. Olis has sold merchandise and services to the organization. So Binal is part of this. Andrew Olis is one of the directors. And this is in the section here, business transactions involving interested persons. It's just weird. I mean, again, I don't know what any of this means. I'm not here with some smoking gun accusing these guys of things. I don't know what this means, but it's weird. And it connects them. So Jesse Banal, he's very connected to Kash Patel and Steven Biss. And also, by the way, Devin Nunes is the guy who Kash Patel worked for. That's how Trump came to know Kash Patel. And Kash Patel wrote that whole Devin Nunes memo, you know, all about Carter Page and the Pfizer surveillance and all that. The weird thing to me about that Nunes memo is that it just doesn't mention anything at all about Ben Wittes, about Peter Smith, about the email that Ben Wittes sent to James Comey on December 28th, 2016. That thing kicked off the FBI investigation, not the Christopher Steele dossier. So just like Eric Adams and Orrin Levi and all these other people want so much attention on the Roosevelt Hotel, and hardly anybody is talking about the Walcott Hotel, it seems like the same thing with the Steele dossier and all the attention everyone, including Kash Patel, want to put on that, with no attention whatsoever on the Matt Tate dossier that they were trying to jam up Charles with. And I'm not so fixated on this because it was aimed at Charles. I mean, of course, that's how I came to know about it. I'm fixated on it because I think it leads us to the plot. And I think what the plot was, thanks.
You're welcome.
I think what the plot was a triple redundant plot. And that's the way military guys think. Triple redundancy is like bulletproof, right? On an airplane, that's what you have. Triple redundancy, any mission critical thing, you want triple redundancy. Okay, so if we're going to attempt through a lawfare military action, which we know Charles Dunlap has said, lawfare is 21st century military activity. Now, this was a migrant hotspot. This is the migrant bus station. Notice far fewer criminals hanging out. How has the hot dog selling business been the past month? How's the hot dog business selling the past month? The past month, it's not going down? Huh. Interesting. I'm surprised. Maybe migrants don't buy hot dogs. That guy says very nice. Maybe there are still migrants using the bus here. I don't know. Looks like a far smaller number of people to me. There used to be bikes lined up here, maniacs hanging out, doing drugs, selling drugs. Seems to be a lot less.
It's like I was thinking like, are there...
This is new. Steaks, cheese steaks, beers and burgers. Yeah, this is not a great part of town, and it hasn't been helped by the economic downturn and influx of loads of sketch people. Ah, now wait a minute, look, something opened in this building. Maybe people live here now. There's a cop is texting while driving. Damn it. Is that window already smashed? Brand new building, smashed window. Wow, amazing. This new fancy building, and the anchor store is a dollar store. It's weird. So this is my concern. There's a lot of some people say, you know, it's fine. Kash Patel, it's, you know, at least we don't have Kamala Harris. And look, of course, I agree with that. and whoever she would have picked would be much worse. Yes. But if Kash Patel and Dan Bongino are also connected to crooked dealings and shifty people, how can we just switch from shifty people we don't like to shifty people some people do like? What is going on with that? What is the trust that gave the 150,000? What was the purpose? Because the other issue is the Kash Patel nonprofit takes in like 1 million and spends like 600,000 or 700,000 on marketing and fundraising, and the marketing and fundraising companies are like owned by the guys who are on the board. So you want to talk about a self-licking ice cream cone? There it is. And I mean, that's the issue that we've been talking about, is that most of these nonprofits, whether it's $1 million coming into Kash Patel or 500 million coming into the Brookings Institution, it's just a money laundry shop. It's a way to get cash to whatever it is, to get money to whatever it is that they're trying to do. And you can't just say, well, it's okay if Kash Patel does it and now he's going to go. And look, they said, oh, day one, I'm going to close the FBI building and make it a museum of the deep state, and we're going to reveal the Epstein files. I don't think that they're going to do that. I think that people are definitely going to be disappointed. Is that a Raptor R? I think it might be, but why'd you go graphics delete? I can't really see from here. Yeah, definitely a Raptor. I think it's an R. Let's check. Watch me get hit by a car looking to see if this is a Ford Raptor R. Yeah, it is. Oh no, it's not. You got to have a red R for it to be an R. Right? I guess it's just it must be, yeah, it's years earlier. Okay, so that's not the same bump, or that's just a fake bump. I get into all kinds of topics here, so for people who are expecting this to be some sort of quick download of information, it's almost a mind dump. I find that certain people either like it or hate it. Ooh, this guy's going fast in the bike lane. Oh, we could have gone by 23rd Street. The movie theater has been demolished. I didn't feel necessarily any kind of sadness about that, but it did make me think, because many years ago, I remember I was sitting in a sort of a diner in LA waiting for a friend of mine who I was supposed to have breakfast with, and I was reading Variety back in the day when, like, it was delivered to me daily and I would read it like a paper. But there was like interesting things in there, like what movies were happening and who I would call based on needing 3D stuff and whatever. Anyway, was reading that, and there was just some article about maybe Tower Records or Sam Goody or something, and I remember thinking, this is going to happen to movie theaters. They're all going to close. And I was surprised that that hasn't happened yet. But when they when they demoed the 23rd Street movie theater, that's a big deal. New York City, there's a big market, and nobody's going to that movie theater, obviously. It's a lot of real estate, expensive to maintain. Movies suck. There are far fewer of them since the pandemic. They're all totally DEI, LGBTQ, rehashing of stuff that people don't want to see in the first place. But anyway, that's the deal. If anybody knows anything about Elliott Park, see, the weird thing is the law school hasn't said anything to the students. And this parent who contacted me said that they haven't even contacted the police, which is the same sort of situation as Elliott with the laptop. Why? Like, at first, there was something that had been submitted somewhere that described the office in disarray. What the hell are you honking at, asshole? Described the office in disarray. It said there was a printer there and cables that made it look like there was a laptop, but the laptop wasn't there. So if the guy whose laptop it is dead or in a coma or whatever, and the laptop isn't there, what the hell is going on that you don't call the police and say someone's broken in and stolen this lawyer's client files and whatever? Like, obviously something weird is happening, and some people know parts of it, but they're not really telling us. Anyway, that's the story, folks. Thanks for watching. Thanks for sponsoring. If you aren't already a sponsor, please visit odyssey.com/@crowdsourcethetruth and become a sponsor. You could also do that on crowdsourcethetruth.substack.com or subscribestar.com or patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth. And if you are on x.com, go to @JG_CSTT and subscribe. Thanks to everybody who's doing all of that stuff. Have a great day.